Battle Paths!
Hello, I'm Thomas Nelstrop, the designer of Battle Paths Raiders of the Wasteland, a 1v1 or 2v2 board game stroke war game hybrid set in a post-apocalyptic world where we're going to be commanding these mechs with its hidden movement, and it's really exciting. Now this is going to be an unboxing of this prototype which I managed to get my grubby hands on about 3 weeks ago at the UK Games Expo. A company called Dice Sports, who I would thoroughly recommend, made this for me, but I've been designing this for the past 2 years. I was going to say weeks then, that would be a very undercooked game. I've been working on all aspects of this, so I'm really excited to show it to you. These mechs on the front here, this is all my design. It got to a point during playtesting where my playtesters were like, oh, I'm just moving around bits of white paper with A and B on it. So I thought, why not give them a treat and try out my artistic abilities. So these are all my designs, and we'll get to see some more of my designs later on. When I drew these, I was thinking sort of like, a bit sort of 80s kind of Saturday morning TV. So these are kind of cell shaded a little bit, maybe, a bit like Transformers or Advanced Wars or something like that, whereas the background is all kind of this sort of watercolory thing, which is a technique that they used for those things. And I wanted to create a kind of video game vibe to this because I wanted to make an accessible war game with interesting sort of board game mechanics. So let's have a look at this. Thomas Nelstrop, that's me. VCT Games, that's my company, and that stands for Very Creative Thomas. So let's have a look at the back of the box. Earth, 2180 AD. Can't do the voice. Dust storms engulf our planet. Disparate factions fight over what scarce resources remain in a struggle to stay alive. Piloting retrofitted mechanical bots, they seek victory on the battlefield by any means necessary. They are the Battle Paths, and you have been promoted to Commander. Welcome aboard, Commander. A little bit of blurb there. In Battle Paths Raiders of the Wasteland, you command a ragtag team of rusted battle mechs in a post-apocalyptic 1v1 showdown. Fight for resources, territory, or survival across dynamic modes. Hidden movement, tactical positioning, and bluffing drive every decision. Only one path leads to victory. I'm very proud of that tagline. Battle Paths. This includes a 2v2 mode, which is actually quite fun for one. I've never really seen a 2v2 mode implemented like greatly on one of these games, but in this you're kind of fighting over your own resources to use order tiles, and it's quite a fun dynamic. This is what it looks like. Box contents, and we'll go through that in a second. Rule book, main board, of course, there has to be. 2 planning boards, 2 player screens, 2 supply bags. Does this sound sexy yet? 10 large unit cards, 10 acrylic unit counters. Ooh, what are they? 20 plus hazard and terrain tiles. That sounds interesting. 56 order tiles. What are order tiles? We'll find out. And 58 cards. What are cards? Everyone knows what a card is. Here we go. It comes with 10 unique mechs, but I suspect that is going to be... there's going to be more mechs in this game. Of course there is. Okay, so let's have a look at it. So this plays from about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on how many mechs you're going to be using. So in a standard game, you have 2 mechs each, and that takes about an hour, with about, takes about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to learn. Here we go. Oh, look, a rulebook that I made for it. So a few of the components here. Here are the unit counters, some of the order tiles. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Some status tokens like vulnerability, instability, and slowed. Hazard tiles like fire, smoke, oil, toxic. Toxic what? Toxic pools, shards. And these are all things that the unique mechs are going to be able to do. We've got advanced content. So when I made this prototype, I decided to, since I was designing punch boards and had a bit of space, and had a bit of a room to maneuver with the cards, as well as I just thought I would get everything made that I was planning on playtesting and just get all that printed out and just try it all. So some of this may not be making it into the final game. Some of it might need a bit more work, but basically this is my strategy to get everything made, play test it all, and also now that I've got this prototype, what I can do is I can work out, the sizes of things are correct and all that sort of things, get the haptic really working well with the game. Here we go, here's the game. I'm going to read you a little bit of the introduction, but then we'll move on to the game here. So it was completely by chance that he'd spotted the meteorite, or whatever it was, breaking apart over the sector, its glowing fragments arcing in the sky like spokes of a broken umbrella. He'd radioed it in hours ago and was only now reaching the zone as the first rays of sun fought through the thick clouds of dust that had since blown in. Metals. It was all about salvaging the precious metals. The age-old story. Jared wondered how long it would take the others to arrive. He also wondered who else had noticed the strange occurrence in the sky. He squinted as he scanned the barren landscape for life. He couldn't see squat through the haze. Years before the climate event, this place had probably been something like an ocean or an oasis or something delightful. Now it was just a dust bowl, no longer somewhere you'd want to take in the air, not unless you wanted a nostril full of corrosive sand. With a shallow sniff through his face mask, he clambered back inside the cockpit of his outmoded mech and creaked forward in his chair to check the main panel of instruments. The fuel meter was teetering around halfway. He'd managed to scavenge a few gallons along the way and had mild hopes that it would last while he searched for the meteorite. The ammo situation, however, not so great. Blip, blip. Something was coming through on his dashboard display. Maybe his squad were finally in range. Jared hurriedly brushed the dust off the radar screen. Nothing, but these things were temperamental. He gave the machine a side whack. The blip appeared again, and then another. 2 unidentified targets approaching from completely the wrong direction. We got company. So that's a little bit of backstory. The aim of the game: in battle paths, players will command retrofitted mechs into combat, vying for control as they navigate a hostile post-apocalyptic landscape. Positional play and tactical misdirection define your path to victory. Players gain salvage points for completing objectives and damaging or destroying their opponent's units. The end game is triggered once a player has reached a certain number of salvage points. Then whichever side has the most wins. Funny that, it's a board game. So these are your mechs. Each individual mech has its own stats and shield configuration and weapons attributes. The unique weapon coverage of a unit means that a unit's position and facing is extremely important. And we have this little goober, Wrenchy, who's a little character that sort of helps explain the things. He says, "Hey," I'm going to do the voice. I don't know what voice Wrenchy does yet. "Hey, it looks like you're trying to learn the rules of battle paths. Hi, I'm Wrenchy Fontaine. I'm here to help with the rules whilst trying not to break the immersion." So he's a little jokey little character there. Don't know, who does he resemble? Not sure, but he's trying not to break the immersion while he tells you all about the game. So these are the unit counters and cards, tells you a little bit about that. This game is all about paths. You're going to be using these order tiles here, fuel for movement, ammo for loading your weapon, and shields for reacting to an attack to try and mitigate the damage. But intel is the interesting one. So intel is used to bluff. So you're going to be creating paths on the board, but some of it might be intel, which you're never going to go that way, but your opponent doesn't know that because it's all face down. So intel is the wild card in this game. You'll also be taking rust tiles. So rust you'll take whenever you decide to push your mech beyond the limit. Perhaps you want to shoot multiple times during a round, or you want to maximize your shot, or turn around in the heat of battle once you've seen everything's happening. Rust comes into your discard and then comes back into your supply bag. This is all about your supply bag and what order tiles you have in there. I want to use the term bag building, but it's not really that, because you're not purchasing extra tiles to put into your supply. The same ones are going to go round and round again. But once you get rust and things like that, that's also going to circulate and cause issues for you. Learning to manage your rust. Learn to manage your rust, or it can really throw a wrench in the works. That's what Wrenchy says. Oh, he's a cad. So here we've got the setup. I'm just going to race through this now. Your unit cards and your phases. So battle paths happens over 4 phases. You'll get the supply phase where you draw usually 7 order tiles from your supply bag, but it could be more if you've got more units, and you put them into your secret planning area, and you have a screen so your opponent can't see them. And then you'll deploy your units. Then you've got the planning phase where you're going to take one by one of these order tiles, and you're either going to place it onto the board to create a path for your unit, or you're going to place it on one of your unit cards so you're going to line up some actions for the next phase. And indeed, the next phase is the battle phase. And what happens in the battle phase is that all of the tiles on the board are going to be flipped face up. All the intel goes, but there's a bit of a bidding thing where intel is good, that you've got that undiscovered. And then your units are going to move through their paths to what we call their destination tiles, which is their call sign for that particular unit. And then once that happens in the battle phase is you're going to take turns to carry out the actions that you've assigned to your unit. So you might flip something, it's an ammo, suddenly you've become armed, and then in a later turn, after your opponent's done something, you're going to be able to shoot. That's the idea. Let's have a look. So this is all about the paths. Marking a path and placing a decoy look identical to your opponent. It is important not to declare which one you're doing. His accent is slightly changed. A bit about decoys, HQ actions. So this is going to be an extra sort of thing you can do with your order tiles depending on your HQ. I have asynchronous HQs that I'm designing, so I'll show you those cards. Ordering units, so these are all of the different orders. You can scan other people's tiles to see if they're trying to pull a fast one, trying to bluff or not. You can set up an intel to scout an order tile during the battle phase, so you can bring one of these tiles into your planning area. You can rotate your mech by using fuel, so perhaps the position of your opponent isn't quite where you'd hope it to be, so you can turn around. I might have to take some rust to do that. Shielding, so that is a reaction, and then arming. You can also pass. By the way, when you attack in this, you're going to also be using order tiles, and any that you've left in your planning area once you have passed, you can use for attacks, and they have these little. I'll show you in a bit. I'll show you in a sec. So all about attacking. That's all that, and then control phase, and then final scoring. And then some advanced modes like outposts, sectors, and different objectives, things like that. And then a glossary with all the extra little things like what oil does and what fire does. Burns you. So there you go. That is the rule book there. Let's move on quickly. So we have the board. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way. So let's put the board out. Here is the board. So I have redesigned the board quite recently because it was a bit like this, except that, let me move this way. It was a bit like this, but except that it had a whole kind of computer system all the way around it, a sort of kind of Cold War kind of look to it, with all these rusty kind of machines and stuff. And a lot of people liked it, but they said that it resembled it looks a bit like terraforming Mars, which I didn't want. So I've redesigned it to be this open space. Also, it was giving the wrong idea that it was maybe some sort of arena shooter, which it's not. So this is the board. I'll get some of the pieces out and we can have a look at them. You've got your supply drawer, which is, as I said, how many order tiles you draw in the game. And then we've got the VP track here. Different sectors, and they come into play in an advanced game. Let's have a look at some of the things. So let's have a look. Let's see what else is in here. We have planning areas. So this is your planning area. A little bit of a player aid here saying what you can do in the planning phase. You can mark a path for one of your units using fuel or the unit's destination tile. You can place a decoy using an intel tile. You can assign an order to a unit card, or you can perform an HQ action or pass until the battle phase. So let's put this out here. Let's put that here. Great. And then obviously we have one for the red team as well. I thought reds versus blue is the age-old fight. Through time immemorial, red has been fighting blue. No one wins. These are some little, so these are little 3D printed rocks that I've got. I probably would make something look a little bit more deserty because this is all in a desert kind of wasteland. But these were nice to have as placeholders. These are your screens. Hi! And this would go obviously in front of your planning area as you're planning things along. I'll set this up in a bit. Where's the blue screen? Of course, blue has to have a screen too. Hi! There we go. Some more rocks. Let's have a look at some of these bags. So basically these bags are what you're going to be drawing from, and this is a very clacky sound. You like clacks, don't you? This is a very clacky sound. Oh, I'll put it near the microphone. Oh, clacking. Right, so these are order tiles here. Let me take some out. Here we go. So these are the backs of the order tiles. When you're placing these on the board, your opponent will be none the wiser. That could be a fuel or it could be an intel. Well, it's actually a fuel, so that means that your mech will definitely be going that way. And then we've got all these different ones. So this is intel, that's another intel. So what I did when I designed these on the punch board is I'm not quite sure what material to make them of. Kind of don't want it just to be cardboard because that's quite difficult to move around the board. So what I did was I designed it so it would fit into coin capsules. And what I'm finding is that this may be the material of the board itself, or it may be the nature of the coin capsule, but it's a little bit slippy, and precision is quite important in this game. So for instance, you put it here, then you would be facing into this hex here, and I don't want people to be able to knock that, especially because you're flipping them around a bit later. So let me know what you think, if there's any other materials that I could make these order tiles from. Here's an intel, and here's an ammo. So yeah, each team has a number of these tiles. This feels a bit like a magic trick. Let me demonstrate the blues tiles just to show that everything's above board, and they all have order tiles. I quite like that blue color. It's nice and sort of antiquated, which is another kind of look I wanted this to have. I wanted there to be like a merge between the dust, the sand, and the rust. So everything kind of merges together color-wise, and it all kind of hangs together thematically. Let's look at some of these mechs. So here we go. This game, because of the nature of stacking these counters, is that I made an early decision not to make miniatures. Also, miniatures increases the price of these units quite a lot. So I've created these sort of UV printed mechs, and look, you can flip them over and then the other team can use them. So so this is not the final design. In fact, they're going to be a little bit bigger as well. But look, we got these guys. I don't know if the camera can get that. Can it get that? No, because it's trying to look at my face. But here are some of those mechs. Some of these are long-range mechs that you will be using when you're using quite a lot of units. They don't really work on their own because they become quite vulnerable. But say, for instance, this little guy is what is he called? He's called Drillbit, and he's got a really, really strong attack up front. So you'll be using these mechs to defend your other mechs in that kind of way. This number on them is how far they can go. So this number here is how far they can go in a turn. We've got some extra little bits for if you are playing with more mechs. We've got some, these tiles are kind of groovy tiles. So here we have some smoke, and smoke lasts a couple of rounds, so it flips over to the less dense smoke. You've got oil, which traps your mechs, and you've got fire, which gives them an extra damage at the end of the round if they're still in the fire. Why would you stay in the fire? Why would you stay in the fire, indeed? Right, so let's have a look at some of these mechs cards. So these are the cards that you're going to be having next to your dashboard, and you can see that this one is for firewall. I don't know if firewall. Where's firewall? Firewall is this little goober here. So Firewall can shoot a little bit further than everywhere else. So this is an attack pattern, and each mech has their unique attack pattern on this hex board. When they're pointing this way, for instance, they'll be able to shoot these spaces. And the 3s and the 2s show the strength of the attack, so how many order tiles are going to be used in this attack. You can use order tiles from your planning area or from your bag. Obviously, you draw from your bag, it's going to be a bit more random, and if you've used stuff from your planning area, it might be stronger hits. You also have these 2 slots here, and those are the slots for your... let's grab an order tile, why don't we? TBDBD. So for instance, this will be on here, and in the battle phase, you'll flip it over and you go, aha, an ammo. That means I'm going to arm my unit. These are the little counters for arming your units. So that's how that works. And we've got a bunch of these. We've got Hookline who pulls you in with their harpoon. Everyone needs a harpoon in the post-apocalypse. Everyone's going to have them readily available, those harpoons. I don't know, is harpoon going to be an effective weapon in the post-apocalypse? I don't know. These mechs, they love it. You can pull people towards you. Spectre, who drops smoke and then can hide in that smoke. Toxic, who is going to be able to spit acid, if I can finally fix acid. The drill tip is quite difficult to use. He's got quite a small range of attack, so you have to be quite accurate with the drill tip. Crossfire, your standard sniper rifle. He can shoot quite accurately, but he needs a straight line of attack. Bombard is is an area of attack. Artillery piece. Shakedown drops these little rock shards that make you vulnerable. Cyclone can manipulate you, give you instability, which means that your attacks are going to be less good. Knockback is going to tell you didn't get the job that you interviewed for. No, knockback is basically has got this shrapnel blast, a bit like a shotgun, can push you back. And all of these things have their own little shield arrays here. You have a shield here, and it will activate these shields that you can defend against attacks. Sidewinder, he's a new one. Sidewinder's going to be a little bit more basic than this. So I went the whole hog with some of these mechs and made them quite complicated. So I'm going to pare it back and have some of these starting mechs as quite accessible, so that you can start a game with 4 of these mechs and not have to engage in the more advanced content of the game. Speaking of advanced content, here are some of the cards I've made. So we have, these are some set maps for you. In fact, what I'm using for these is these little kind of arrows here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's have a look. Can we get that in there? Yeah. So probably need to make this a little bit clearer actually, but these little arrows are going to be deployment arrows, and I'm actually thinking maybe I want to just make those hexes like you saw before with those terrain pieces. We've got split stakes, so some of these have different objectives and things like that. The 4 pillars. We've got some more of those. The game setup here. So this is showing you how many things you need to set up the game. We've got status tokens. So early on, what I really like in games is if they have reference cards. So early on, I decided, let's get these reference cards out of the way. I can update as it goes along, but I just want them in there so that people can see what's what. Because this is a hidden movement game, I think it's really important that each player has ways to look at the rules without asking, so that so they're not giving away their plans. Special attacks, weapon attributes, different things like ground attacks and indirect things like that. So now we're coming on to this advanced content, which I'm just trying out. So this is just remix cards. Oh, remix cards. This is ways to kind of change the game. But obviously, you want to know how to play the game first before you start changing it. And these are different objectives. Hacking the base, things like that. So more of these. Okay, so and this is another example of what I was talking about. And because this is hidden movement, I wanted to create a really good system where you could identify your opponent's mechs. So this is Know Your Mech by Wrenchy in the corner there. And this shows you'll have this to see what your opponent's mech's capabilities are. So you'll see that they can shoot in all of these hexes, different hexes, and that their turning is okay, but they have to take rest if they turn a bit more. This is all a very technical game of trying to outturn your opponent and things like that. So these are all your Know Your Mechs. We have some more objectives. And this is another piece of advanced content that I think will make the game, because I really like this idea. So these are asynchronous powers for your HQ. So once per round, you get to put one of these order tiles onto. In fact, let's just set this up here. That this will be like that. You'll get to put an order tile in this slot once per round, and then depending on what it is, you get to do different things. So this is Team Octopus. I was just messing around with the team names. Probably would pick something else. I mean, are people in the post-apocalypse gonna know what an octopus is? Who knows? So I'll probably change that so it's not animals. I'm not sure. Write in if you've got any ideas about some good team names. Well, I'm all ears. The all ears would be quite a gruesome name for a team. So if they put an intel there, they can do a smoke screen, and that's an instant action. If they put a fuel face down, what they can do in the battle phase is that they can have any of their units turn instead of assigning it to a particular unit. And the same with battle arm. Battle arm, that's an octopusy thing, battle arm. You've got starter things for that. These are for sectors. These are for controlling different sectors. What else have we got? Team Bull. I don't know about the name of that. If you put an intel there, you can improvise. So you reveal this in the battle phase. You get to draw a tile from the supply randomly, and then you assign that to your unit. So you're hoping that it's going to be ammo. In this game, you're not necessarily going to have ammo. You're going to have to squeak your way out of some situations by bluffing that you maybe have ammo or trying to escape. So it's not all about just trying to clonk each other. The game is designed so that you're not always going to have everything that you need, and you're going to have to improvise your way out of it. Much of the time you'll have what you need, but not all the time. Team Orca again, right in. Team Viper, they get to feint. So not feint as in, oh, it's too hot, although it is really hot here. They get to retrieve one of your face down path tiles and then take a second turn. Team Wild Dog. What was I thinking? Team Mantis is all right. Team Dragon, you get to put fire strikes out. Team Raven gets to mark your targets. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on with that I'm trying to test out at the moment. Some call signs. These are the first player tokens that I've got. This is the first player token. In Rust we trust. In Dust we rust. In Dust we rust. So I think that used to be In God we trust, but someone's graffitied this. Criminal. And now it's Industry Rust. Industrial. And then this is the token you get if you've got a lot of intel out that the other team hasn't detected. Well, there you go. So yeah, this is all the stuff from the game. Could do a sort of component drop like they do in the Dice Tower. There you go. So this is all the stuff that I've made for the game. Let me know what you'd like to see next. I will be posting up a video on actually how to play. I hope I've whetted your appetite with some of this stuff. Rocks, mechs, that's what it's all about. Hidden movement. If that sounds like your kind of bag, comment below. And yeah, it'd be nice to get some eyeballs. All eyeballs, that would be all ears. I'm all ears, and we're fighting the all eyeballs. That's weird. Yeah, so let me know if you're interested in some of the concepts of the game, and I'll post some more videos up. Cheers then. Bye. Bye.
Battle Pets.